the sunny. Looking back, it was all needed. The problems, the pain, the trauma, the grieving. You are now tuned in to the prisoner to painter. Prisoner to painter. Hard work, dedication. Rainy days, inspiration. Prisoner to painter. And now, a word from your local Pope dealer.
Live video starting. Okay.
Welcome to the Prisoner to Painter podcast. I'm Nathan McDermott.
And I'm Katie McDermott.
And I apologize if the previous video, some of it went through. We had some technical difficulties, so that's why I'm checking my phone. So I will restart completely, which is kind of aggravating, but here we are. So we have Kurtis, the owner of Tactical Trash, on. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
That's great, man. So Tactical Trash, you could look on their you can look on their website. Great guy, great service. I think you guys will love to hear what his business is all about, and then we'll dive right in. It says, welcome to Tactical Trashout, Jackson's premier waste management service provider. Proudly owned and operated by veterans and their dedicated families. At Tactical Trashout, we understand the importance of a clean and clutter-free environment, which is why we are committed to providing reliable and affordable services for everyone in our community. Our mission is to ensure your space remains spotless, and we achieve this through a range of top-notch services tailored to your specific needs. Our offerings are diverse and comprehensive, catering to a variety of requirements, whether you need quick and efficient junk removal, dependable weekly garbage pickup, expert waste management solutions, precise demolition services, or convenient dumpster rental. Tactical Trashout has got you covered. We believe in delivering not just a service, but a promise of cleanliness and order, ensuring your space is always in its best shape. With our dedicated team and state-of-the-art equipment, you can trust us to handle all of your waste management needs with the utmost professionalism and care. Choose Tactical Trashout for your waste management requirements and experience unparalleled service that goes above and beyond your expectations. We take pride in our work and our status as a veteran and family-owned business, reflecting our commitment to integrity, hard work, and community. For inquiries or to schedule our services, give us a call at 517-395-3628. One more time, that's 517-395-3628. Let Tactical Trashout transform your space into a clean, organized, and clutter-free haven today. That's awesome, man. So we're just gonna dive right back in. Where were you born and raised at?
I was born in Napoleon.
Awesome.
Raised in Napoleon. Well, I guess I was born in Jackson.
Yeah,
Foot hospital, but whatever.
Yeah. So went to Napoleon. Mr. Ash, you said was your principal.
Yep.
Man, it's fun. Sorry, I'm stumbling because
We just did all this.
Yeah. So you're 34 years old.
Yep.
I was like, God, Mr. Ash was the principal back then.
Yeah.
I apologize. You're not that old. You're only
You're
6 years older than me. Jeez. So you graduated from Napoleon?
I did.
Awesome.
2008.
So you were a pirate.
I was.
So awesome. I was a pirate for a year, and
really?
Yeah, I was. My mom and dad live off of Benton Road out there.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, well, man, that's awesome. So, born and raised in Napoleon, lived there your whole life.
Yep.
Cool. What did mom and dad do for work?
So my mom works at an insurance company, and then my dad also owns Tamtastic here in Jackson. So he has like business here, and then my stepdad's been around since like I was a kid, and he's the principal at Napoleon.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. So your dad owns all. So owning businesses is just second nature for your family, or?
Actually, when you think about it, I guess yeah, because like my little sister, she owns Prestige Hair Salon out on Kibbe Road.
Cool.
And then my grandpa opened like all the Welcome pharmacies.
Okay.
He just passed away last year, but
I'm sorry.
yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so he opened those, but yeah, I guess it's been going since my grandpa. So
Man, so it's a family of business owners. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean that's a good habit to have in a family. You know, instead
Right.
of other acquired things that families pass down.
Right,
You got a
for
good
sure.
one there. You got a good one. Awesome. So how would you say your childhood was?
pretty normal, I guess.
normal.
Good.
Right on. School. Sports, chess, anything like that when you went through school?
I like to play basketball a lot, and I like good track and cross country. That's about it. I always had like a hard time paying attention. I like think it's funny because I tell my kids now, like, I swear, always, like, I did the same thing. Like, my mom would always be like, you have to have all A's and B's. And she was always, like, focused on me having, like, all A's and B's. And then I would, like, slip up, get C's, and then I'd be, like, grounded. Like, for so long until I got A's and B's, and I was like, man, I just don't want to, like, study or do my homework.
Yeah.
Like, just leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I was never a big fan of school, but clearly, well, you said you graduated, but did you ever go to college or anything?
Yeah, like 4 times.
No kidding. Okay, well, I'll dig into that here in a little bit. Like I said, I try to stay on track. Everybody that watches knows I don't, but I do try.
Right.
Oh man, Katie, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so we got like early life kind of covered, but where would you say that your like journey or your story actually started at?
I don't know. I think if I were to like look back, or if somebody else was looking at my life as a whole, it's not just like one book. There's like probably 4 or 5 different books in there.
Awesome.
I don't know. When I think about like my time in the military, it was like a whole just like book in itself. Or like my time getting out and then having kids. And
Yeah.
Did you enlist pretty young?
I was 20.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well then we'll stay in the first book before we get to that second.
Okay.
No, perfect. That's the best way I've heard it broke up. So that's cool. So young, did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother and 2 sisters.
Brother and 2 sisters. All from same mom and dad?
Yep.
Oh, cool. So you guys probably lived in a pretty big house, or did you guys share bedrooms?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We still shared bedrooms.
Oh, right. Right.
Like me and my brother like shared the same bedroom all the way up until we were like out of school, you know. I moved out, and then I think he had like his own room for a while, and then eventually he moved out, and then one of my sisters like took our room, and now when you go over there, it's like my other sister's room has been like turned into this like man cave, and then my other sister's room is kind of like almost like a guest room, I guess.
Gotcha.
So,
Dad was probably like, heck yeah, I get
yeah.
the man cave now.
It's cool. There's like lion stuff everywhere, and he's got like a big. He like loves bourbon, so
Right on.
there's like so many bourbon bottles. It's insane.
Cool, man. Hey, well, just an idea. It's funny that you said that. So, you like that picture, man. You should buy him a bottle of that 4 Branches bourbon. Man. A little expensive,
He
but
probably has it.
oh no kidding.
I'm so serious.
Man.
So he has like little sifters and all that.
Oh,
Everything.
everything. He's got like he's shown me some of them, and they're like limited edition, like 1 out of I don't know 100, and he just happens to have a bottle of it.
Probably some of that Eagle Rare that was a couple years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he has it.
It was strong.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I was like, whew.
Yeah, that's back when I was still drinking. She's not a drunk, but that's back when I was still drinking. It was a sipper, and we probably pounded the whole 5th in a night. Not a good idea.
Oh no,
not a good
bad
idea.
headache.
Yeah,
Bad
yeah.
headache.
Well, so did you guys have a pretty close family then growing up?
Yeah.
Cousins and stuff come over a lot?
Not really. It was
Oh,
more
wow.
like tight knit, so like our main family, I guess, and
Cool.
then I don't know. I have like 23 cousins on like just my dad's side, and then like between my mom and my stepdad, I probably have like I don't know, 3 or 4 cousins, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's not very many.
Cool. Well, well, so for young childhood, you would just say probably pretty normal then, right?
Yeah.
Just your average run.
Nothing like
childhood.
that I can think of that's crazy.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, that's good. Like, we don't want drama. We just ask.
Yeah.
if there- like, we hope there isn't, but we still got to ask. Well, awesome, man. So you graduate. What was your first calling? Did you have a job? Did you go into the Navy directly after graduating?
Yeah. My first job, I was 15. I worked at Country
cool.
Market. Got fired. That was rough. I was like back, so there's like a freezer section. This kid was like spinning around on like a grocery shopping cart.
Jeez.
And the boss came back there, and because I was just standing back there, he was like, yeah, you were messing around too, so you're fired. And I was like, I literally just came back here to the baler, and he was like, yeah, I don't care, man. Like,
Gotta go.
yeah, so then I worked at Bob Evans, and I'll never forget, I was like 17, and so I used to do this thing called co-op at the Career Center.
Okay.
I got like so far ahead of my schoolwork there that like they would let me go work during the day instead of going to school.
Cool.
And so my bosses were all like, yeah, you're gonna be a manager here someday. Like I did everything there, and then I ended up like leaving, but yeah. I always think about like how much I loved working there.
That's cool, man. So then you always had a good work ethic then.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like it. Awesome. So did you like the food industry?
I did. I mean, there's stuff obviously that happens in the food industry that you're like, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to do that again. But
That's awesome.
It happens.
Yeah. What Bob Evans did you work at?
The one over on East Michigan.
Nice.
Okay.
That is the best Bob Evans out of the ones that you have.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. It is. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the best Bob Evans. Well, awesome. So so you had that at 17, and you left there to go to the Navy, or did you just say?
I don't know. I had a couple more jobs. I worked at Borcher Builders, which used to be like a grocery store, I guess. Like right on the corner out in Napoleon, and then.
Oh yeah. Borscher Brothers or something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah. I remember that place. They closed that down a while ago.
Yeah. So I worked there for a while, and then I worked at like an industrial fiberglass factory like right before I left, and then
Cool.
shipped off to the military, and that was just a whole different life, I swear.
Was it itchy? Fiberglass
yeah,
itchy?
yeah. Like, so it was really hot in the summertime, so you'd have to wear like t-shirts, but then they'd make you wear pants.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there sweating, and then it like gets in your elbows, and you're trying to like, and you have to keep moving. And I like had only time I ever worked in a factory, but you're just never stopping.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you have to like pick up this fiberglass, move it here and over here, and then you have to like hold the bag, and the fiberglass shoots in. All right, next
And
bag.
just keep going and
yeah,
keep going.
there's no breaks.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, and the fiberglass is just friggin' itchy, so
Yeah.
that's terrible
Feels
to
like you're
begin
being
with.
stabbed
Yeah,
all over.
it kind of made me
Yeah.
itchy just talking. Because I know how it is. It's like same with insulation. You touch it, and it's like your whole body itches. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's terrible. Awesome. Well, not awesome. That's just something I say, I guess. So you went into the Navy then at 20. Why did you decide? If there was a why.
Well, my life really wasn't going like anywhere, and I just thought I was going to be like stuck here forever. So on my way down to the station, and was going to enlist in the Air Force. Super excited. Called my buddy on the way, and he was like, "Hey man, if you enlist in the Navy, like I'll enlist with you too." And I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
So I go enlist in the Navy, and yeah, he still worked at Best Buy for like 5 more years.
So never enlisted.
He never
never
enlisted.
enlisted. Jeez. Well, you said you went to college 4 separate times.
Yeah.
Regardless is unique to me and cool. I never had schooling. Did you go to college before the Navy, or did Navy get you back into school? Both.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I guess tell us about the first time before you joined the Navy.
So my parents like were really pushy about college. So with my kids, like I'm an advocate of like, hey, if you don't want to go to college, like trade schools are great. I don't know if you saw, I just shared something on Facebook the
Yeah.
other day.
I
You can
did
make
too.
way more money.
A lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always told my parents like I don't want to go to college, and they were like, no, you have to go to college. You're not going to make anything of your life if you never go to college. Like you have to do it. So I went, had all A's.
Awesome.
I got bored. Like I just.
Okay.
I don't really like to read, I guess, which probably makes me sound illiterate. But
No.
yeah, I just like wouldn't read the books, and I would just show up to class and just get A's.
Nice.
So that was cool. Second semester, I got like really lazy, and I just stopped showing up.
Okay.
I was forced to go back again the year after that, 'cause then they were like, "Yeah, you're never gonna finish." So I forked up like I think it was like $900 then for a semester at JC. It was JCC then, and yeah, I made it like I think 3 weeks that time, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done doing this. Like,
Gotcha.
I'm an adult. I'm gonna go live my life." I've been to college 3 times, so I take that back.
Okay. Well, either way, you've
Yeah.
been more than most.
Yeah.
So that's that. So you must be pretty intelligent.
I mean, I guess it depends on who you're asking.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Well,
Fair enough.
everybody has different learning styles
Yeah.
and retains information in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like intelligence does go with it, though, because clearly if you're not very intelligent, you're probably not going to get into any type of college. So,
That's fair.
so you must have been pretty smart, is the way I take it, because some people don't even get to go to college simply because of, like, GPA and stuff like that. So,
Right.
Unless they have a lot of
GPA is
money.
not equivalent to knowledge, just saying, because I had a terrible GPA.
That's true.
Yeah, no,
I had a terrible GPA.
I definitely agree. So you enlisted at 20. How did that go? I've never joined the military, clearly. So what, you go down to the recruiters, you say I want to be in the Navy, and then where do we go from there?
Okay, so it's a common story for everybody in the military, but
Okay.
yeah, it was really cool. I went there and I took this thing that basically it's a test to see like what you're knowledgeable in and what you're not knowledgeable in. So I got this cool job called a machinist mate,
Okay.
and you go overseas and you get to like work on hotels and like repair homes or anything like that for like if there's a natural disaster. Well, then I actually showed up to boot camp. Found out that was not true at all.
Oh, geez.
So like you're there and like I don't know, it's kind of like a party in a hotel like the day before you go, you get on the bus and like now you're there. So then you're like getting your head shaved and everybody's screaming at you and telling you you're going the wrong way. And yeah, you're up like 72 hours. They try to keep you up to see like how you handle situations. Finds out my job was not repairing anything. I was actually working on boilers the whole time.
Oh, jeez.
So dealt with like, the heat in the bottom of the ship, which was really cool. So I actually got sent off to an aircraft carrier. And so aircraft carriers don't have boilers, so they have nuclear reactors. So I had to go work with the nukes that were down there.
Jeez.
And that was pretty crazy. Not
Cool.
like anything that I ever expected, but
Yeah.
No, I bet that was super
Yeah.
cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's dang
it was cool. Like some things, like I remember like looking in the reactor doors, and it doesn't look like how you would think on TV. It kind of looks like French fries coming out of like a ball,
Okay.
and it's like contained in that. But then in cartoons, like the nuclear waste, I guess, is always like that lime green color, like
Yeah.
trash cans.
Yeah.
They're actually blue.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really weird.
Yeah, it is. So then it's like you see in the movies, in the terms of you go to recruitment, they take you, get your hair buzzed, you're getting yelled at.
Yeah.
Do you actually get like baby powder? Do they actually throw white powder on you?
Man, it's been so long, I can't remember. I know that the lady, so I went to Great Lakes, which everybody calls Great Mistakes, in Illinois, which is the only place you can go in the Navy now, and everybody knows the same lady that cut my hair because she like nicks you, but she's called the Dragon Lady.
Okay.
And so I don't know why. I think it's because she like yells so much. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I remember like I had longer hair when I went in, which I mean, it was like kind of shaggy, I guess,
Okay.
which I just didn't have a haircut, and I just remember like my officers that were in charge of my division were like screaming at me, and they were like, "Boo-hoo, Comet, where did all your hair go?" And I was like, I don't care if I'm bald.
Yeah.
Like maybe my beard, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, well, I apologize because I'm not too familiar with how the process works, so I wish I had better questions. But did you like the recruiter that recruited you? I don't.
oh yeah, we're friends on Facebook.
Cool.
I mean, I don't talk to him like every day or anything like that, but I still see like his life. He just retired.
Awesome.
He was super honest like the whole time, so
Cool.
I couldn't say anything bad about him.
Awesome. So you get recruited, and then how long until you go to boot camp? From like the moment you walked in the office and then go to boot camp.
So back then it was different. There was kind of like a freeze, and it was like the don't ask, don't tell. So I think it was like an 8-month window that I had to wait.
Okay.
So
Dang, so 8 months to like I mean that probably had to be anxiety in a good way. Like I can't wait to go or
yeah, it was like I can't wait to go. Like it
Yeah.
could just hurry up. Like
Yeah.
let's get this over with, because you're kind of just wasting your time. Because that was when I started at that fiberglass factory too.
Okay.
I'd like quit one job, and then I was just like a temp there.
Mhm.
I was like, man, if I could just start my job now, like I'm just wasting time.
Yeah. Well, so they're kind of sitting in purgatory then, like
Yeah.
don't know this way, that way. Gotcha.
How was the aptitude test? Like, I know it's got a special name. I can never remember what it is.
Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say bad. They obviously they get to your skill set. I will say that I kind of wish that the education system now was different. So not everybody learns, writing down and trying to study. I have a photographic memory, so we're more hands-on.
Okay.
And I wish that there in the education system there was different options, so you could have a more hands-on school or.
I
Yeah,
agree.
flipping
I
through
also
it, yeah.
have a photographic memory, and if I watch a video on how to do something, I will memorize the steps and I
Yeah.
can do it hands-on, and I always say my brain's like a Rolodex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's helpful in a lot of ways, but it also gets in the way a lot of ways. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I'll
You
leave
understand.
something on the table, and he'll move it, and I'm like, I know exactly where I left it.
I'm the same way. My wife will move it, and she'll be like, "Well, where did you put it? Right here on the table. Does it belong on the table?" Well, no, but that's where I put it. Can you just tell me where it's at?
Yeah, we don't gotta go through all these hoops.
Right.
Tell me where you put it.
He makes me doom piles, so if I left it out, there's a doom pile of all my stuff.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm like, here's the pile of what you had on the table.
Yeah.
Here's the pile of where you left here. Yeah. Well, okay, so 8 months, and then you said you go to Illinois. How long is boot camp?
Boot camp's 2 months.
2 months. And then I just read a question that I had. So you joined because of a friend, or you guys were going to enlist together. But I feel like there might be another reason. Did you want to serve because you wanted to be service of the country? Did you join just because you wanted a paycheck? Because I feel like there's another catch.
There's personal
Okay.
personal
Yeah.
things too, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about this in so many years. Nobody's ever asked me that question. Yeah, I used to be super against the military.
Okay.
Thought it was like really stupid that people like went and risked their lives for 4 years of college, and then Call of Duty came around. So I used to play a lot of Call of Duty, and I really think that game is just designed to make you want to like go fight for your country.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of honor in it, though. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of honor in doing something for your country. And
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. So 2 months of boot camp. What happens after boot camp?
So after boot camp, then you go to your training school. I think my training school was like 8 weeks,
Okay.
which is kind of wild to think about. So they tell you, like when you join the military, you have like free health care and everything like that. Well, they don't tell you is it's people like you and me that are like doing the health care. So like they're learning like everything the same way I'm learning everything about like how a boiler works.
Oh, gee.
And then you go somewhere, and then, for instance, like I learned all about boilers for weeks, and I show up to a ship with no boilers, and they're like, yeah, so now you're gonna be doing what they're doing. And it was crazy because like if you were like a nuke, being in the same spot that I was in, you would get a $25,000 bonus plus a monthly hazard pay.
Yeah.
Right.
But because I wasn't a nuke, I didn't get a $25,000 bonus or a hazard pay.
Yeah.
So I remember like one day we were like having a question and answering, and so there's like ranks in the military, and the captain's down there, and he's like, "What could we do to make this better for everybody?" And I raised my hand, first one.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, petty officer comment," and I was like, "Yeah." So I'm a conventional machinist mate, which is what they would call us, and I said, it would be great if we could get like a bonus here and like hazard pay. And he's like, well, I have nothing to do with any of that. And I said, well, if they're doing the same job as us, like why wouldn't we get the same pay?
Yeah.
We're risking the same stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, crazy to think about.
But because you didn't have the title, you
Yeah.
didn't get the pay. Oh, mother effer.
Because then they'd have like, you know how jobs will have like safety, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, so it couldn't be so hot because we were like out in the Gulf.
Oh, wow.
And so when you're like out there, it's so hot. So they'd have thermometers all around, but they would sit in the vents. So like where the air was coming through, and so it would read like 120 degrees. Well, like how hot else is it around you? Like
Yeah. No
insanely hot.
Man, that's crazy. 120 degrees just sitting down there. That's
so
crazy.
uncomfortable.
Oh my God. Well, that lined me up perfect for my next question. What rank did you end at? Or
E4.
And then where did you start? Because I don't know how.
E4.
E1. So petty officer to what was the last ranking?
So I was a fireman, and I made it to a petty officer.
Okay, awesome. So petty officer comment. Awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you
It's
for
weird
your
to hear
service.
that. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for your service. I think that it takes more of a man to serve their country, and I say that in a lot of ways. More courage, even more self-control. Because I wanted to join the military, but I chose felonies and a bad life. So more courage to stay on the right path. So I think it takes more of a man. So really, thank you for your service. Any deployments?
Yes.
Okay. How many and where?
So it's like crazy to think about like just how different everything was. So not only did we have deployments, but we also had things called like underways.
Okay.
And so the first year that I was there, we were in Bremerton, Washington, but we were moving to Everett, Washington. So there's like a sound of, like Washington's kind of like this, like how the water works. So like we were down here and I was living up here.
Okay.
And they were like, hey, the ship's gonna move up there in a month, so you're just gonna have to commute for a little bit and then you'll be okay. Yeah, that took over a year. So like everything kept getting pushed back. So me and my buddies, like, I used to drink a lot, and so we would like drink all night long. I mean, till like 3 or 4 a.m.
Jeez.
And then we would have to get up at 5 or 6 and then drive to work, which was a 2-hour commute. And then we would have to get back when the workday was over at like 5, 2-hour commute back, and just repeat.
So 4 hours of your day wasted
Yeah.
driving. Man, I think that sucks. My dad drove an hour to work and an hour back for 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of time commuting. I know yours wasn't as long, but a year of 4 hours a day, that sucks, man. I guess the things you'll do for your country, right?
Right. And then we'd come back and they'd be like, oh, well, yeah, we have this short little 2-week underway, so you're like out at sea for 2 weeks, but then it gets extended to like a month, and then we had like a 3-month underway. Deployment was supposed to be 6 months, but then we started like a war with Libya for like a short period of time, so we actually were like the first aircraft carrier to go through the Suez Canal, so we had to like go up there, and deployment got extended to 9 months. I swear, like, I was enlisted for 4 years, and I think I was out to sea for like 3 of those 4 years.
Wow, so you were really gone
Yeah,
for a
like,
lot of that time.
It was crazy.
Holy cow, man. So you did your full 4 years and then you left?
Yep.
Okay, so then I'm not going to jump that far ahead too quickly because there's still some questions that I'd like to ask.
Sure.
So, what was your favorite part about being on a ship?
Oh, so it's like a cool part and not a cool part. So once you're out to sea, you're supposed to hit land. I think it was like once every maybe like 60 days. So we ended up not being able to do it because of everything going on with Libya. So while you're out there, as long as it's past that mark, everybody is allowed 2 beers.
Okay.
So they have them like hidden on the ship. So nobody's allowed to have them. But once you get to that point, so they were like, yeah, we're gonna do this. So they made it like a cool kind of day, which if you were on watch, which meant like you had to like still do your job, you couldn't like participate. But I went and got like my 2 beers, and then they like did this thing where they brought down like one of the hangar bays, and everybody got to like dive off of it in the ocean.
Cool, into the water, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's these guys up top that they have sniper rifles. So I was really curious, like, why do they have sniper rifles? And they were like, oh, that's to shoot the slowest swimmer. And I was like, what? Like, there's sharks out in the ocean, like, they're attracted to blood, so in order to save everybody else, like, that person's getting shot. And I was
No
like,
shit.
oh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, all things considered, that's cool.
Glad I wasn't a slow swimmer.
Yeah, no shit. Man, that's funny. What was your least favorite?
Well, I did get divorced while I was in there, so really hard to like have a family.
Okay.
We didn't have like any kids together or anything, but yeah, super hard. So that was one of the reasons, like number one reason I got out was I can't imagine like my kids now if I was like going on deployment for 9 months coming back and like seeing my son like, oh, so now you're in first grade.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool, dude. How was kindergarten?
Yeah, I was about to say, last time I seen you, you couldn't talk or something like
Right,
that. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, wow. Wow, so I was really close to my mom and dad, almost in a toxic way, just being open here. Was it hard to go away from your family? I know you were married, but was it hard to leave your family on deployment, going to a different state, all that stuff?
No.
No. Understood.
I don't think we're not like toxically close. Like my mom would always like go do stuff on the weekends, and I'd like want to be by myself.
Yeah.
So not really.
Understood. So how old were you when you got married the first time?
20.
Smart. Okay.
So you joined like when you got married.
So we actually got married like after I got out of boot camp, because then if we could do that, she could come live with me.
Nice.
And we would get like a special housing allowance so that we could live off base.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we were divorced like 21.
Okay.
Maybe 22. Yeah, it was like right before I turned 22, because that's when the drinking really started.
Yeah.
I don't remember 22.
Fair enough. Yeah, some women don't. Some women don't. Did previous family members serve, or were you the first one to decide to take that route?
So I did not know that any family members served until I actually served, but my grandpa was in, both my grandpas were in, and I think they were, and I had an uncle that did, but that was it.
Cool. Did you ever, I'll finish up my questions about, I'll finish up my questions. No, I won't actually. I just lost what I was saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I fumbled too.
Okay,
much there.
so were they in the same branch?
So my grandpa he was Army Reserve for a while, and then when everybody was getting, wow, I'm in a brain fart, sorry.
No, I just did. I get it, man.
When the draft came, he just went in the Navy, so.
Awesome. Did, I know a lot of people in the military do not like to talk about it, so I'm not going to ask you to talk about it, but I am going to ask, did you see any combat?
Yes and no, so it's like a different aspect. So did I ever see anybody physically being blown up?
Pretty much, yeah.
So they would tell us like sometimes like how many bombs they dropped like over the intercom at night. So I remember like one day they dropped like 81, and the group that like was in charge of the bombs, like every job in the military has like a different slogan. So like I was a snipe, which is like they call it like you live in the pits of hell, because it is so hot at the bottom of the ship, especially when you're like out in the Red Sea.
Okay.
So they were like the AOs, which were like the aviation machinist mates, I believe. And their slogan was dropping warheads on foreheads. So
oh, gee.
Yeah.
Man, did wow. So then you were a part of it during an active war zone then, or
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And you were on one of the ships that like they land on in the water.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like when the planes come down, you can feel the whole ship like shake.
oh, that's cool.
Wow.
And
Do they like do they do the slingshot thing?
Yeah.
And how they're going super fast?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to see that. That sounds so cool.
And then I just heard you. I'm sorry if I'm staying in this topic a long time, but I find a lot of interest in the military, so I really think that's so cool. You said something about the Red Sea. I'm not good at geography. Where is that?
So it's over like by Europe and
Okay.
Asia, so like going up into there.
Right.
But I mean, you're mostly looking like right there, so it's like, you know, where Dubai, like Iraq, like all that, like that's where we were. So
Okay. God,
for a majority of deployment.
that almost had to be a little scary just being on that side of the world.
So the only time that it was ever like, wow, because you don't see a lot. Like you go out, and I mean, it could be like a month, and all you're seeing is like blue ocean, blue sky. Sometimes me and my friends would just like go sit out there, and it's blue ocean, blue sky every day. When we were going through the Suez Canal, we went up on the flight deck, and there's there's like Egyptians like all along you, like walking around with like rocket launchers, like waiting to attack us in case anything happens, because like it's so big going through there that you literally could see sand on both sides, and we
Wow.
were just like trying not to hit anything.
Yeah. Oh God, lots of. I mean, in reality, would rocket launchers do anything to a ship that big?
No.
I didn't.
I mean, the stupidest thing I've probably ever heard. So, like, the way that the ships work is there's like compartments that are filled with water,
Okay.
and it's for like the buoyancy of how things go. And I remember like the senior chief was like, "Hey, Comet, how many missiles would it take to take out an aircraft carrier?" And I was like, "1." He said, "Wrong. You can never take out an aircraft carrier." And I still to this day don't understand like what that meant, because like if you had enough compartments open and you didn't shut them, like yeah, that ship's gonna sink eventually. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand why.
None.
Right.
Oh, jeez. Oh man. Do you think it made you more responsible of a human? Like joining did what they offer you of like discipline and all that? Do you think the military gave that to you?
Yeah.
Understood.
My wife and I just had this talk like the other day, because I feel like before I went in the military, I was probably like more of my feelings and like more compassionate about things. And while I'm still like, I try to be more compassionate, it's kind of like I'm forced almost. I don't know how to explain that, but I'm like numb to a lot of things.
Understood.
So did you have any like PTSD or anything from that? I know you didn't see like active
Yeah.
combat, but does it affect you? Did it affect you?
I've only had like one form of PTSD that I would call PTSD. I handle it better now, but like there was a situation with one of my friends, like we were out on Liberty, and she's like blonde hair, blue eyed. So we're like out in Dubai and we were drinking, and I had too much to drink, and then like I was coming out of the bathroom, and this guy in the back alley, he opened a door and shoved me out, and like I'm in this back alley like stumbling around, and then like they were trying to take her. I could hear her screaming for help, so I like came around, and like me and this guy got in a fight, and then like she got drugged, and I had to like bring her back. It was like the most terrifying thing, because you're like out in a country. And so when I came back here and I was in college again, we had to write a paper about the craziest thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna write about that. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I wonder if I could find that place. So I like Googled it, and it showed a picture of like the bar, and it like took me back to like I was there. And the next thing I knew, like I was back here in Jackson. My school was in Lansing. And then my teacher like had emailed me, and she said, hey, I just wanted to like make sure you were okay. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember class. Like I don't know what happened. And she was like, yeah, you just like stood up like you were upset or something, and you just like walked out.
You just left.
And I was like, oh, well, I'm really sorry about that. Like I didn't know what happened.
So you saved her?
Yeah.
Well,
Her mom was like so mad at me. So if you're watching this, I'm still sorry. It's been like 15 years. I'm still sorry.
Well, to me, that's a hero. So I don't know what to say besides thank you on her behalf, but that's awesome. I know. Well, so clearly defending the country is thank you, but like that is, to me, that's tangible. Like you saved her right there. So that's great. Even if the situation, whatever put you guys in the situation, that's still saving a soul. So
Well, it's
I
like
think
that could
that's
be like everyday life stuff too. It doesn't
Yeah.
even necessarily have to be like in the military or in another country. Like that stuff happens all the time. So
Sadly.
Did you what countries did you go to? Like docking. Like, so you just say you were in Dubai. What countries did you get to visit?
So I've been to South Korea, Thailand, Bahrain, Dubai, Italy.
Wow.
Oh, I know I'm forgetting some.
Damn, you've seen the world then.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I definitely like made my way around.
Awesome.
We went to like Canada at one point, which I still think was like kind of weird, but I guess
Yeah.
we were in Washington, so we went to like British Columbia.
Okay.
I remember like the Coast Guard came back and they made like this huge deal, and there was like pictures in the newspaper, and they were like, Coast Guard back from a 2-week deployment, and it has like everybody like kissing their wives and the kids crying, and I was like, dude, I wish I was only gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, even as a civilian, it's like, that's 2 weeks, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going on vacations longer
Yeah.
than 2 weeks. Like, get out of here. Man, what was your favorite country, and what was your least favorite country?
Italy had the best food.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Oh,
Super
yeah.
weird. I don't like McDonald's.
Okay.
But I had this weird thing, I don't know why then, but every country I went to, I like had to stop into a McDonald's and like, you know, the little apple pies that they have?
Yeah, yeah.
So once I got to Hawaii, I found out that other countries have different pies.
Oh,
So
wow.
like in Hawaii, it was like a coconut and pineapple pie.
That sounds alright.
When I got to Italy, they were calzones.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they
that
were
is
good.
Cool. Man, which was your least favorite? Still Italy?
Probably Dubai because of that
Dubai.
incident.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Alright. Man, that's just crazy thinking. 34 years old and you've seen like that's a big portion of the world. That's Did you ever try sushi?
Oh, Thailand. Thailand was the best.
How was the
Okay.
food in Thailand?
Okay, so best meal I've ever had in my life was Thailand. So I love lobster, and so we went to this place, extremely rich in Thailand. Like our currency compared to theirs is just
It converts
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I went there and I got like this lobster dinner. I picked it out. It was a blue lobster, which I didn't know at the time. They're extremely rare.
Yeah, I've never heard of one, so it must be rare. I've never heard of that.
It was like a 4 or 5 course meal with like dessert, and then I think I had like 4 beers, and my total was $30.
Jesus.
And then, yeah.
But what would have been like in the, I don't know what the Thailand's currency is called.
All right, we apologize about the technical difficulties. Thank you guys for understanding. We are back. We just left off where you're gonna have to refresh my memory here a little bit, Katie.
We had been talking about the money conversions in Thailand.
So your favorite country that you visited was Thailand, and you said that you gave your driver $30, which is what he makes in a month, in a day to drive you around.
Yeah.
So that probably felt really good.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
crazy.
Man.
Like, we've grown up, like, I mean, I assume you've been in America your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've just always been taught, like, how free we are, you know, like, growing up, and they, like, really pound that in schools, and I've never seen freedom until I've been to Thailand, I'll say that. I say that all the time. I had a friend that blew up a water buffalo with a grenade launcher for $100. So,
Jeez.
That's awesome.
I mean, that is awesome. I mean, you know, that's
you can literally do anything.
wow. Talk about freedom. No
Yeah.
kidding. Talk about freedom.
So I will backtrack a little bit. You said you were kind of more emotional before the army, and then you said after it was like you kind of had to force yourself. Did that affect your relationships with people when you came home?
Hey, I'm not a therapist now. You know, maybe. I guess I've never, like, looked at it that way, but, I mean, maybe.
Well, just like for like, because we haven't got that far ahead yet. But when did you like? How long after you got back did you start the business thing? Because like, if it affected your relationships, how was that like building your business? I guess was where I was going with that.
So, I started the business 3 years ago. I've been here since 2015, I think. So, I mean, I guess it was about 8 years. I mean, I've had a few different jobs in there. I was like a district manager for a while, at a couple different places, and then I worked at the post office for 6 years. And
Okay, fair enough.
yeah,
Did you during your military service? Now that we're getting to the end of this book, I like how you worded that, and then we'll move on to your third book. Did you ever box? Because I see that in movies, like military, like they box. I'm curious.
okay, about to break rules 1 and 2. I'm just sorry.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, we legit had a fight club.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so they have like hatches on ships that like shut the doors, and we literally just used to go. We would fight so hard, and I remember it got to the point where it was like unfair for me to fight people my size. So then I was like fighting people that were like 6'2", like way bigger than me. And I'll never forget this one guy. What's up, Brian?
Dude, he's like a professional like bodybuilder. His arms are so big, like they were bigger than my head, and I will never forget. Like I went to go grab me, like pick me up and like put me in a ball. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead and move, come." And I was like, "Let me go!" And I was like trying my hardest, and I couldn't get out. And I was like, "Oh man."
That's funny. Once again, thank you for your service. Did you retire? Did you get a pension? I know you probably people don't want to talk about money, but I don't know how leaving works. So,
so no. My final like straw in the military. So I was like a supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
I had to like have my workers like do their jobs throughout the day, and like while you're in port, it's kind of like busy work to prepare yourself. Everything's always getting prepared for like the next time out at sea.
Okay.
So I told this guy like he had to go paint this wall, and that was his only job for the day.
Oh jeez.
And like everything's changing now, the way that the world works, obviously. So he like 4 o'clock rolls around and he didn't do it. Just the whole day, didn't do anything. And he's like, "All right, I'm leaving." And I was like, "Yeah, no, you're not. Like you're not leaving until the job gets done." And he like started crying, like literally like tears.
Jeez.
It wasn't like a big wall or anything. Like I just remember thinking back about it, and then he went to my chief, who like I was an E4 at the time, so he was an E7. So to get up there, I mean, it's like years to get to that point. He came down and he's like, "Hey, Common, I need to talk to you." And I was like, "All right, Chief, what's up?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, apparently you're not letting him leave because he didn't do his job for the day." And I said, "No, he screwed off all day. Like he needs to get his job done."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, the job does need to get done. Like we can't treat people like that anymore. We have to be humane, and you don't know what he's going through." And I was like, "What?" And I said, "Well, and how's that going to get done?" And he handed me a paintbrush and said, "You're getting it done."
Oh no.
That was like my final straw. I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
Like, you want me to tell them what to do, and then when I try to enforce it, you're like, "Well, we're not doing that anymore." So
That's crazy.
they sat me down and they were like, "All right, we need 3 reasons why you're not getting out of the military." And I said, or why you're getting out. And I was like, "Well, you can't have a family." My number 2 was my beard grows really fast, so I got yelled at. It was like clockwork. Like my chiefs would laugh about it. But every 7 hours, I'd get stopped. Somebody yell at me for the way that I shaved. We'd have to go talk to my chief, and my chief would be like, "Yeah, I saw him this morning. He shaved. He can't help it."
Yeah.
And then the third one was that. And I was like, "Yeah, so I'm gone.
Okay,
We
yeah.
can't do this anymore." Like, in my mind, like, if you can't paint that wall, like, we go into a war zone and, like, we get hit with a missile or something, like, what are you doing to, like, save us?
Yeah, no kidding.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So,
I was just gonna say that if I would not trust somebody like that to watch my back. Which I don't know about how the military works, but if somebody doesn't have enough regard to finish a job, they probably don't have enough regard to watch your back. So
right.
I understand that. Wow. So how old were you when you officially left the Navy?
I think my official separation, I believe I was 23 or 24.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I was 24.
Okay. So you leave at 24. You're back in Jackson.
Yep.
Okay. Did you have kids or get married around this time?
No, I was dating, like, this girl that I really liked in high school, and then moved back here, and we were, like, living together, because my brother wanted me to move to Florida with him, and I was about to do it, and then I started dating her, and
Yeah.
here I am now.
Okay. Okay. I guess I did skip one question. Is there are we on? Yeah, we are. Is there any story from that part of your life that you would like to tell? Any question I might have missed? Anything you want to share?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, that means that I'm doing my job.
Yes.
Okay. So you're 34 now. How old are your kids?
So Bella is the oldest, so she's my stepchild. She's 14, about to be 15.
Okay.
Emily is mine. I adopted her, so she's 10. And
Awesome.
then Chris is 5, and then Blake is 4, and then both the 2 little ones are mine. So
Okay. So you got 4 kids altogether.
Yep.
4 kids. What made you choose adoption? Because we might have to go that route. So I'm curious.
So her dad was like not a good person, and he was making a lot of like really not good threats. So the only way to like actually stop it was to go through with like the adoption process.
Good.
I mean, she's safe now, so that's what's most important.
Yes, it is. That's awesome. I've already respected you, but throughout this process of this podcast, I'm just more and more and more.
And by the time I leave here, I'm not going to go.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. Come back here. Wow, that really is awesome. And you're married now.
Yep.
How long have you been married?
So we've been married for 5 years.
Okay. You know, it's funny, me and her have been married about this long, but I just want to say that, what is the key to marriage? I wrote this because I'm like, God, you're like 40 or something. I'm like, you've been married 20 years, I swear. So look, I'm being honest, I'm like, what's the key to a long marriage is what I wrote, and I'm like, oh my God, you're not.
I'll be 30 this year, and he makes me feel so old.
Well, I'm still gonna ask. What is the key, do you think, for your happy marriage?
If my wife is watching this right now, I know she's rolling her eyes. But, no, seriously. I think you really just have to like respect each other and have communication, because without that, then you just fall apart.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty solid. Okay, Katie, please, you got anything?
Yeah.
Well, you can't look off my paper. I'm asking you. I'm struggling.
I'm just seeing what points you've hit. So, you got out at 24. You had some jobs. You worked at the post office. You said you've been married to your wife about 5 years. When did you meet her?
So we actually met at the post office.
Okay.
So she used to work there. We were both carriers.
Okay.
So we were like people that deliver your mail. Like, I've definitely delivered mail to this house.
Awesome.
Awesome. I can see that.
Well, so now I guess I'm curious. So you get out of the military at 24, and then you work at the post office for 6 years. Did you go from the post office to starting your company?
Yeah, so I thought I'd retire from the post office. Absolutely loved it.
Okay.
Every bit of it. And while I was there, I would even tell them, like, managers were offended. But other than that, like, post office is a great job. Pension, retirement. They started, like, messing around with, like, the pension and retirement. And then my final, like, okay, looking into the future, they're talking about these things called, like, super centers. And so our super center for this area would be Detroit. And so instead of going to like the Jackson annex, you would have to drive to Detroit, pick up your route, drive back to Jackson, deliver the mail, drive back to Detroit to finish the day, and then I'd have to drive home again. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing
crazy.
that.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm going to backtrack before I go forward again, just because I think I've noticed do you like being of service to people? Because the reason I ask that, because we go from Bob Evans as being of service,
I guess.
You go to the military that's being of service, and then go to the post office. I mean, you have been in service to this country for a long time, so thank you again.
Do you guys really have like degrees in being therapists?
No.
That's crazy.
No, that too.
We just actively listen.
But to me, that's awesome. I mean, that is Win Schuler said that was his calling, is to be of service. Schuler's out in Marshall, but the guy started back in the 1800s, and that was his calling. He wanted to be a host. He wanted to be of service, and I've just noticed that about you.
Cool.
Now your job or your business is being of service. That's awesome to me. That's wow. So you go from the post office to starting your business. So you told us why you left the post office. What made you? Well, about the driving back and forth. Was there anything else why you left the post office?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like right before COVID hit, I was delivering mail. Somebody's like porch, I like slipped on it, fell, broke my back like through the porch. I like got up and I like rolled, and I'm like, I can't move. I was like talking to my wife on the phone, and she's freaking out. I called my boss, and I was like, finally after I kept my breath, I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, I just broke these people's steps. I'm still delivering the mail. And she was like, are you okay? I'm gonna come out there right now. And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, nobody came to check on me. I'm just gonna deliver this next swing, which is like a bunch of houses that you have to do at one time. She comes out to me and she's like, hey hon, I just need you to sign this waiver that you're not gonna come back at the post office for like getting injured. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think that was the adrenaline. I'm having a really hard time breathing. And she's like, oh my gosh, can you drive?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, yeah, I need you to bring the mail truck back. Like, we're going to go to the hospital. And they gave me like an EKG. And then, during like when COVID hit, they couldn't like get me any doctor's appointments. They kept pushing them back. So I was off work for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Made it back to the post office. My doctor, Dr. Catan.
Did you legitimately break your back? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Oh,
I fractured my spine.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
So my doctor here, Dr. Catan, can't give that guy enough props.
Yeah.
You're gonna laugh in a minute. Sorry, I'm throwing shade.
No, you.
Yeah. So he got in like a car accident, which put him like in a wheelchair, like outside of work, and so he forced me back to work, and he was like, "Yeah, we're not doing this anymore. I can't keep messing around with you. And I was like, I can barely walk.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, it's not my problem. Like, if you need to find a different job, that's what you need to do. And I was like, I was injured on the job. Like, what do you mean? And he was like, sometimes we're just not meant to do that. I guess he was also in charge of like public health for Jackson County, and he would make comments like, yeah, we're gonna push you ahead on this list because it's just old people on the list. Like, they don't need to see the doctor as bad as you do. So I guess he's actually the reason why we're here today, because my boss was like, yeah, we'll be cool with you when you come back. We understand you're not at 100%. And then when I came back, it was like, my first day was a 13-hour day, and then I was like, yeah, I'm having like a real rough time. Like, my back's killing me.
Yeah.
Can you send me help? And they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll send you help. Second day is like a 12-hour day.
Jeez.
Third day was a 13-hour day, and then I called in, and I was like, I can't do this. And then I came back, and they were like, yeah, we're going to have to write you up because you called in. And I was like, oh, so I realized I couldn't do it anymore. So I started like doing this on the side, like trying to do as much as I could. And originally it was like landscaping, and I did like some light mowing here. I mean, it was just like stuff to do on the weekends, but I got so busy, like I couldn't keep up.
Okay.
And everybody kept saying like, how are you doing both things? Like, yeah, not well. From the time I wake up to Saturday and Sunday to the time I go to bed, like I was working, go to the post office at 7, get off at 4, go do a job. And I mean, it was just nonstop. Well, then I quit my job in May. I was like, yep, no longer at the post office. I'm going to do this full time. And my wife supported me, which was awesome. And then everybody kept saying, what are you going to do in the winter? I was like, yeah, I'm going to snowplow.
Okay.
And the snow like never came.
Yeah.
It never came. So we were like, I can wait. This is part of your next
No,
question.
you're good. You all of that service to your country and all of this, and that's how they treat you. That's kind of shit.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's like all of this service you give, and what shitheads. And I don't feel bad about the language. That's shitty.
You should give me some time.
No, that is crappy. That's like, what the heck?
It is.
Well, it's like, and I've always felt that way about, this veteran that's hurt and they gotta go to the VA and they don't treat him well. It's like, you go from working for the government to still working for the government in a different aspect, and you're like, that's shitty. So one thing I wanted to talk about the post office before we get to what I feel like is the most important part of today.
Yeah.
You called it something when you, like a section of houses. Is that when you?
A suite.
So is that when we see the mail truck park at the end of the road and walk up and down the block? Okay. Is that easier for mail trucks to do that? Just curious. Like, is walking really easier, or wouldn't it still be quicker to go house to house with the truck?
So it would be quicker to go house to house, but then like each city has like regulations on how it has to be delivered. So I know in the future they want to move to these things called like the cluster boxes. They're called like NBCDs, and they want it like on each street corner. So instead of you having it like at your house, you're gonna have to walk up the street to go get your mail.
I mean, that'd be quicker for you guys and shittier for us. I mean, crappier.
Yeah, way worse, because you have to think too. Like you guys are like in a good area here, but like in the bad areas, like I had those in my apartment complexes, and the kids would go in the back and like crowbars trying to break it out, like look for checks or like,
see a package get delivered.
Yeah, that would. So, well, hell, even if you're an older person and it's at one end of the street and you're all the way at the other, that would suck.
I still think we should have mnemonic tubes.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, like, whoop.
Yeah.
That would be beneficial, wouldn't it? Well, any stories that we missed maybe about the post office or anything you want to tell us about that stint in your life?
I don't think so.
Broke your damn back. I think that's good enough. Holy cow. And I'm sorry if I said it like that, but you said broke my back, and I'm like, oh, you can fall and hurt it pretty bad, but no, you legitimately broke your back.
Yeah, fracture my spine.
So you did tell us like how you started with the business. How did you figure out the name?
Yeah, so that was interesting. Originally it was combat cleaning, and so
cool.
I would do like property preservation and things like that. When I went to go put my name in like the LLC database, like there was already a combat cleaning.
Oh.
I was like, man, like I just almost got business cards made. Like I started putting in like an email and everything. So I was like, okay, like I want something that like describes what we're doing, but still has like some military presence. And I was just coming up with like different things, and finally it was like tactical trash out. And I was like, oh, I really like that. Like that kind of like sticks.
Awesome.
So
that's
kind of how it happened.
And that's where we are.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So you go from just so I don't get sidetracked here. So you hurt your back. You start doing stuff on the side because you go whatever you want to make more money or whatever the reason is. So you start with lawn care and just little stuff like that, and then and then you transition into the winter. You want to do snow, but there's no dang snow. So,
Yeah.
So then you do this full time. Did you still do lawn care, or how did you transition from lawn care and that just to? I mean, now you got whole ass garbage trucks. Like, I mean, how?
And it's
did,
been 3 years.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
wild.
you said you started in 2022. It's like one day there's Emmons, Liberty, and all these places one day, and then the next day it's like you're everywhere. I mean, I wake up one day and I see garbage cans everywhere of yours. I mean, how did you go from lawn care to this? I guess.
So at my time at the post office, like word got out that like I started my business, which we started in March of 2022. So, oh man, we're like a week away from the 3-year anniversary.
Awesome.
It was like March 8th, I think it was. Yeah, my bosses started getting like really mad, and they were like, "How long have you started this business for?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they were like, "You were off work for 2 years. How long have you been doing this?" And I said, "I had a broken back. Like, I was not doing this."
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, we don't believe you. There's no way that you're like building this clientele." And I was like, I'm just marketing myself. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. It's just me. It's not like I have employees or anything else.
Yeah.
So I kept doing it. Well, we went on this trip up to Marquette. There's another company called GFL, which they've sold off like pretty much everything this year.
Okay.
So GFL had like these green garbage cans, like the higher up you go north, and I was like, man, if I could get green garbage cans, like that'd be great, because I really don't want to throw shade at any other companies, but the big company in the area sold, obviously, and got bought out.
Yeah.
And so they were providing not like top-notch service, and I used to be Emmons mailman, and I would come in, and the lady at the front desk and I would always talk about like the post on Facebook, how awful of a job they were doing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just slammed." Well, we were up north, and I was like, so Trashouts are like when you go into people's houses and like say you don't like want your table or anything anymore, like I come in and I take that, and that's like our primary like bread and butter to like get everything out. I was like, man, I go to the dump so much as it is, like it's winter time, and literally like no snow plowing, don't know what I'm gonna do. And I was like, man, if I could get green garbage cans like that, I'd start a garbage company. And my wife was like, no, you wouldn't, that's disgusting, like you're not doing that. I said, yeah, but think about it, like green's been my favorite color since I was a little kid. Like I would love to have green garbage cans. She's like, I don't know, looking to see how much it would cost, I guess. And I said, okay. So I like look around for them, finally find some that are, the cans that we have are made in Michigan, so they're like 60% recycled material. Like, yeah, he was like, for 50 cans, it's gonna be $4,500. And I was like, excuse me?
Yeah, no kidding.
And he said, yeah, that's the going rate, and I had to get a minimum order of like 50.
Oh God, what's that, about 90 a can roughly? 90, 100 a can?
Yeah, it's like real close, but now it's more because inflation's gone up. So I had no idea like how I was going to do this, because also while I was in the military, we were on deployment, and my credit card was compromised. So they racked up a bill of $17,000. My bank was like, hey, we're dropping this.
Good.
We're going to take care of it. Well, they came back after me. Like years later, I mean, it had been like almost a decade. Like this was 3 years ago. They're coming after me, and they're like, "You owe us $17,000." And I was like, "Oh no! Like it was compromised. It got taken overseas." And they were like, "No, like we need to see the emails that we dropped that for you, or we can't do anything for you." And I was like, "Oh, well, those are attached to my military email. Like I don't even have access to that."
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, if you don't have that, we don't know what to tell you. Like, they took me to collections.
Dang.
Like, I had a law firm after me, and this finally got dropped this year.
Good.
The judge, they had it, like, over here in Jackson, and I missed the court date because the judge dropped it, because you have, like, a 7-year window in your credit history where they can come after you, and once you're past that, it's past the date.
Awesome.
Called the law firm, told them, like, the whole story, and the guy's like, F you, we're coming after you. And I was like,
Hey.
how professional are you?
Yeah, no
And the guy's
kidding.
like, no, we're coming after you 100%. I was like, well, they just dropped the case. Like, I just want to let you guys know. And he was like, no, we're coming back after you. So they reopened it, and the judge was like, you had no chance to reopen.
Awesome.
Good. So I didn't know how I was going to afford $4,500. So I've been really stressed about it, because, like I said, I was booked out for months, and then I just had no jobs.
Wow.
So originally I got those 50 cans because we were at church one night. And so we did Bible studies on Wednesdays, and this wonderful lady, her name's Joyce. We just love her. She was like the sweetest lady. She used to be a teacher at Northwest. So, did you go to Northwest?
No,
I
I
did.
didn't.
I graduated. I only went my senior year, but I graduated
Okay.
from there.
So, Mrs. Hauk, if anybody knows Joyce Hauk, she prayed for me. She had everybody in the room pray for me that if I could get financing, and it was like God's wish, like that's what we were doing. Literally left there, and I remembered somebody that day was like, "Hey, you should apply for this Flagstar credit card, you know, if you ever want to." And I was like, "Oh, I just remembered I had this Flagstar credit card offer. I'm going to try to see what I can get." It was approved like instantly, and they're like, "Yeah, so you can get up to $9,000." And I was like,
Heck yeah.
"That's a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to order these cans."
Heck yeah.
I've looked at nothing in the garbage industry at this point in time. So, get the first 50 cans, and then I started learning like the little hassles, like finds out not everybody bags their garbage. So there's sometimes people like will take a vacuum cleaner and like dump it in the can, and then you're like, how do I get that out? Because I didn't have garbage trucks. Then I had to look into like, okay, how much does it cost to get a garbage truck? Yeah, a brand new truck's $580,000 for like one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Now as of this year,
That's a lot of money.
last year it was $480, so it just keeps going up, and I'm like, oh, I actually just called a couple weeks ago to secure a new truck because we've had like, you know, breakdowns here and there. And the cheaper end truck was $235,000, and I was like, wow, so after monthly payments, it's gonna be like $6,000 a month. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I got those first 50 cans, and I just used to drive my truck and trailer around, and I'd pick up the bags, throw them there, and
That's a tactical trash truck, right?
Yeah.
With I like that Avalanche. I think that's really cool. Wow. What a hell of a start of a story, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Sorry, I'm at a loss of words. So you get the first 50 cans and you just drive around picking it up with your truck and trailer.
Yeah.
That is so cool. You know, it's funny. So I gotta ask. So to start a business, to start your business, you didn't really do nothing crazy, like go get a $30,000 business loan or
No.
what. You got a credit card and just started working
yeah.
hard.
The first debt was like that credit card, and then we were completely debt free until we bought the property over on Page Ave, and then once we got that, I was like, oh, I can't say I'm a debt free company anymore.
Yeah.
Oops.
Well, so you your customer service is great. So I know you say that you've had a couple breakdown lately. I think it is so important and crucial what you do. You let everybody know, sorry, I will be a little late, or sorry, it'll be tomorrow. Customer service to me is the main part of any business. I don't care if you're selling cars or picking up garbage or whatever you're doing. That's like the most important thing is how you handle people. I commend you.
Thank you.
Katie, I knew you were about to say something. I'm sorry.
Do you think people choose you specifically because your cans are so vibrant and different?
Yes. When I bought green garbage cans, I had somebody tell me I was an idiot and nobody's ever going to want a green garbage can. It was a little bit more explicit than that. But, yeah, they told me that like nobody's ever going to want a green garbage can. And I mean, I will say I've probably had a handful of people ask me for a different colored can. And I'm like, yeah, no, we only have green cans. I just had a lady call me 2 weeks ago. And she was like, hey, so we just signed up with your company and we just... can we get a different color can?
It's trying to be nice.
No, we only have green. And she was like, okay, well, can I paint it? And I was like, well, no, absolutely not. Like, the green has a few different things. Like, not only is it bright for you to see, but it's crappy that you even have to talk about this, but everybody is so focused on their phones now with texting and driving that, like, we had a driver out here at Modern. I mean, it was years ago, but everybody knows about it. He got rear-ended and punched in the truck and killed him.
Oh, wow.
So all of my trucks are bright green and the cans are green because it pops to your eyes. So even out of the corner of your eyes, you're on your phone, like you're gonna see that. I make my guys wear green just for the safety. Like I don't want anything to happen to them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like a big thing for me that everything is like green all the way across, so you're not like questioning anything.
Well, also you have a dark, not really bright garbage can, and you're on some of these roads are real. Like you couldn't even fit like a car through it. So everybody's cans are out. It's dark.
Yeah.
That'd be like hitting people's cans, and I think it'd be easier not to do that when they're that bright.
Yeah.
I've had husbands, sorry this is a joke, so I apologize, but I've had husbands thank me for the bright green can so their wife doesn't back up in it when they back out of the driveway, so.
That's funny. What made you want to get into the waste management industry?
So we did junk removal, and like I said, there was like, nothing to do for the winter. I really had no idea how I was going to pay my bills, and so my wife Ashley, like, she made this comment to me when I quit my job, and she was like, "Don't you ever come to me and ask me for a dime don't you ever expect me to take the fall, like when the bills are going?
Mm-hmm.
So I took that like literally. Like my wife never had to pay an extra dime.
Mm-hmm.
She actually quit her job back in May. I think it was May.
Mm-hmm.
So now she like answers the phones for us, but like
Awesome.
now we're supporting just our house off the business, and then
Mhm.
we have like a couple other employees, and like
So you're
it's kind of
supporting
cool.
other
Yeah.
companies,
So
yeah.
like we went from that to that. It just got to the point like we were doing junk removal, and we would like go in houses and like clear stuff out or work for properties of like people that got evicted.
Yep.
To there were so many complaints about people like not getting their garbage picked up and everything else that I was like, well, how hard would this be really? And I mean, now we're at the point that, I mean, I can at least talk about this, but there's like a recycling commission for like Jackson County, and it's kind of cool because there's only 3 garbage companies in it, and it's Emmons, Granger, and me.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're all like on this board of recycling and like how it's all gonna work for Jackson County, and I'm like, man, I was like nobody 3 years ago, and now like I work with like the DDA every year, and we do like events downtown, and then like we reach out, like charities reach out to us, and they're like, hey, can you help us? Like we've done work with like Big Brothers Big Sisters, and trying to like just help out as much as we can.
Well, God, I mean, you say you went from, you know, nobody or whatever, but God, for a business to boom like yours in 3 years, you've done most businesses don't even make money the first 3 years, and you're freaking supporting other homes. That's
My
amazing.
brain's like melted.
Yeah, no, man, I bet. A lot of long days.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Do you still do trash outs? Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just garbage removal. You still do, or let me rephrase. It's not just weekly pickup. You still do.
Yeah. I just did a couple last week.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you definitely do need a couple guys. One to drive it
Yeah.
out. One to
Usually they're driving the routes, and then I have like people that I can call to like hire help.
Yeah.
It's their day off, and they'll come help me like do another job. Or
Hey, can't complain about that. I used to work for a guy named Kevin and Dave. Just same thing, you know, it was a Saturday. Hey man, we need somebody to pick up shingles because they're roofers.
Yeah.
I won't go on a roof, so yep, I'll pick up your shingles. I don't care. I'll pick up your shingles. Well, so this is a very obvious question, but I'm still going to ask it. What sets your company apart from its competitors?
oh, so I will say we're not giant. So we do have a lot of customers, but every time that like we have a breakdown, like we will make it work. So I've never actually skipped somebody unless they haven't had their can out. I have this like, it's a little joke, but I don't know if you've seen, I have like a little mascot, he's tactical terrier.
Yeah.
He's like a little eagle.
Yeah.
And there's like one that I have of him where he's wearing like an army outfit, and he's like grabbing a can that says no can left behind. Cause I always tell the guys like, don't forget that can.
Yeah.
Hey, you had your can out and we missed it, like we're going back out there and getting it. And what I hear from the other companies is, well, we'll get you next week, like
Yeah.
just have some extra bags, but then you have like the rodents getting into it and everything else. Like nobody wants that.
Yeah. No, I agree, and definitely the green sets you apart. And then just from what I've been, what's going on, baby?
What?
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just watching the sound.
Okay. Well, that's what I mean about fiddling. I apologize. Well, and then also the green clearly sets you apart. The being so open about like I'm coming later, picking up cans and this and that, but being better known and how nice you are, I think that sets you apart in itself. Oh, of course. What's the biggest challenges facing the waste management industry today?
Well, we obviously only have 2 transfer stations and a landfill here in Jackson County. I know there's another one that's supposedly going to open in Grass Lake. Supposed to be at the end of 2024, so that hasn't happened yet. So I would say the landfill here is like really great.
Okay.
The transfer stations like to jack up their prices. I think a lot higher than they probably should. So like when I first quit my job, Granger's minimum was a $10 minimum.
Okay.
Very first time I went through the window, the lady's like, "Oh yeah, the minimum went up. It's $29.74," and I was like, "Oh okay, like yeah, that's fine." So I pay that, and then the next time I go, she was like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know our prices went up," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I know the $29.74," and she's like, "No, they're going to $131.50," and I was like, "Excuse me?" And she's like, "Yeah, a lot of people are really upset. Like, I'm sorry to tell you that." Well, when Modern was Modern, they had a $40 minimum, so we just started going there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Well, as soon as Granger raised up their prices, then they went up to I think it was $81 minimum.
Jeez.
Yeah, now they're at $85. So like,
Keep jacking up
you
the
got like a
prices.
chair, like it's $85 there. You take a chair over to Granger, it's $151.
Jeez.
Okay, so now it's $154 today, and it's $85 over there. Liberty kind of does it more fair, where it's like they go by what you have, so based off of like the amount of volume you have. I would say that's a really big challenge. The other challenges for me are like, you know, vehicles breaking down, employees showing up to work, things like that. The vehicles are way more expensive than you think there are, and mechanics are really hard to find.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of the mechanical work myself, but when it comes to diesels, like I'm not super knowledgeable. I've learned a lot as the times progress, because you kind of have to. But I had one mechanic that like he just took me for a run nonstop, and then the one that we have now, his name's Robert. Super cool guy, very honest. Couldn't say better things about him. So I recommend him to literally everybody.
Cool. Well, so what I got out of that, I know I can say it, you cannot. Sounds like Liberty might be the choice to take your stuff back. I don't, yeah, but I'll say it, because that sounds. Yeah, I said that. It sounds like, but I remember when Modern started jacking the prices up. I take a mattress, it used to be $10-20, and then the last time I took just a mattress, it was $45. So I was like, that is crazy. I'm done taking garbage there.
Yeah.
I know it's not good for the environment, but I just burned it. Mind you, my mom and dad lived 15 acres back, so you know, I didn't get in trouble. I'm like, I'm not going to spend $40 for a mattress. I'm not doing it. I'm not. How would you say technology has affected the waste management industry, or affected you, good or bad?
Yeah, so this one's interesting. So when I first started, it was just me, so I never had to like think about employees or anything like that, and I didn't expect to like grow this fast. So I'm still like, I feel like I'm running next to the trucks, like trying to catch up. All the routes were in my head. Okay. So my first employee came on, and he was like one of our customers, and he used to work for Emmons, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how is he going to know the route? It's all in my head. Like, he can't drive that. So every night before he would come to work, because we only work, we operate 4 days a week doing garbage, so my guys get 4 days on, 3 days off.
Awesome.
So they're like 10-12-hour days, but then they have all the next day off.
Awesome.
Or the next 3 days off. If it's a holiday, then it's like they get 2 days off, but one weekend's like a 4-day weekend, so a little bit different. Every day before he would come to work, I was up till like midnight, and we start at 4:30 in the morning, so I'm sitting there like typing the routes up and trying to get it like turn by turns, like turn left here, then go here. That was awful.
Yeah, I bet.
So he like showed me that I had to have it that way. Well, then we found software where we can like now take payments online, and like it incorporates it into tablets, so the drivers can have like the routes all set up and they're in order, give them directions.
Cool.
But I pay $300 a month per truck, so it's literally like right now I think we pay like $2,000 every 3 months, like just for us to be able to use 2 tablets.
Wow.
So technology is definitely like taken over. And you kind of can't get by without it anymore. Like I don't think that I could have 3 or 4 employees and like just have the paper sheets anymore. Yeah. Especially because they like a lot of people don't know directions. So I mean, I'm fortunate that I know a lot of the streets in Jackson. I would say I know probably 99%. Okay. Just by off of me doing the mail. Yeah. So Ashley will call me and she'll be like, "Hey, what day is this route?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's Monday." Or "Yeah, it's Thursday. Just by the street name."
I guess I didn't think about that. That is a good transition from post office to this. It's like, so you know the road, so it won't be too difficult. Wow. What are your long-term goals for your company? Clearly expanding, I'm guessing, or?
So they were never meant to even be like where we're at, I guess.
Oh wow.
As crazy as that sounds. So I talked to a member of another garbage company. I won't say their name because they are just an employee, but they're like very connected with their boss, and so they talked about it, and they were like, "Yeah, we see like a big transition coming this way. We think that one of the big 3 are going to come out, and you're stepping up." And I was like, "What?" Like, I think at that point I had like maybe 1,200 customers or something, and I was like, "Damn, I don't even know what that means." And she was like, "Yeah, one of them are going to come down, and like it's going to be you, Emmons, and Granger." And I was like, get kind of goosebumps like thinking about it. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I ever want to be there. And then they were like, "Well, no, this is like going to be necessary for like how things play out." So definitely different. I keep trying to get myself in the right mindset because I'm like, okay, more cans keep going out. Like we put out and this was like a lot, but we put out 62 cans this week.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
the average garbage company, I don't ever talk about numbers with people. So first for you guys too.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the average garbage company in the first year gets like 1 to 49 customers, and we had like 350. So that was like a lot to keep up with.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. In the second year, they're between 21 and 49 accounts. I think that's where it was. And we, at the end of, well, I guess December, we were at 1,500 customers. So
Awesome.
now we're at like 1,700, and I've got like 250 more cans on the way because
Awesome.
Ashley just called me yesterday, and she was like, we just signed up 35 people yesterday. And I was like, what?
Congrats.
Like, no, we didn't. And she was like, yes. And I was like, Ashley, we are out of cans right now. Like, we don't have any cans until they come again at the end of March. And she was like, yeah, I don't know. And like, I'm just finding that out. Like, okay, well then I gotta have trucks in place, and then I have to like. Now I'm thinking about like, do we need a third driver coming along? Like, yeah, we probably do. So trying to make sure we have more trucks on the road to make sure we can like still service a bunch of people. And
Yeah.
I think that's what's like hard for me to like relate to people because they think like you see these cans everywhere, so they think that we're like a huge company, and it's literally just 4 of us. So like only Ashley's answering the phones, and Ashley had a doctor's appointment yesterday, so while she was at her doctor's appointment, I'm on the phone answering the phones, and I'm also picking up garbage. And oh, look, here's my son in a car seat. Like we're riding around together, and she's got the doctor's appointment. He's like, we're driving down the road, and he'll just be like, haha, we have a garbage truck and you don't like the other cars. I'm like, okay, dude. Like,
Yeah, we do, man. That's cool. Man, that's really cool. That's like I said, cool for you to go from a nobody to in 3 years. That is phenomenal. 1,700 customers. That is a big friggin' number. I don't know how many people are in Jackson. I know that's a lot of damn people.
There's a lot.
Yeah, but 1,700 people, man, in 3 years. That is insane. That's wow. I mean, great. I don't know what else to say about it. What are the most common misconceptions about the industry?
So this is a big one that I know we talked about earlier, but it's not like people think. So people think like if you just have waste, you can just throw it in a trash can. You know, it doesn't matter. That has been like a really big issue for us. When we first started in my other truck, somebody threw out like some old ammo and it blew up and blew a hydraulic line.
Jeez.
Super scary. Driver was freaking out.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, that in itself was like a $4,000 repair. Recently, we've had a truck down. It's probably been like 6 weeks now. Somebody threw a bunch of shingles in a trash bag, put it in, broke our packer. So I put over $4,500 into it, and it's still broke.
Dang.
So we're like trying to figure out if it's still salvageable at this point to like get it on the road. So I'm now mechanic like working on another truck that I had, and I was like, stop working on this one, work on this one. Like, let's try to get that one on the road, and then we'll worry about this once we have that done. And he was like, okay, yeah, that makes more sense. So we should have, I'm hoping this week to have another truck on the road, but it's sending the wrong parts.
Of course.
Yeah.
I've been following you for quite some time, sharing your stuff. One thing that you shared a while ago is and I think how educational you are on Facebook, and I think it's very helpful, not just for your company, but other people. What's the deal with grass clippings? Why you should not put them in a
Oh man, this is a big one.
Yeah.
So there's a microorganism that's like a fungus that attaches itself to like decaying like plants, and so over time, like if you ever see like mulch or you deal with anything like that, like it'll start getting really hot. That's the fungus in it that's like eating itself, so the grass dries up while it's like in the packer, and these trucks just like catch on fire. So luckily we haven't had it happen here in a long time, but if you ever see like the videos on Facebook, like they will have to dump the entire load. It's called a hot load. It goes on the ground, like police have to get involved, fire department gets involved, they have to like come back out and clean up the whole thing. Homeowners in like a ton of trouble for doing it. Some places take it, but especially in Michigan, since I think it's like it's either 85 or 86, we have not allowed any yard waste in the landfills because also the odors that it gives off, it's not good in like the landfills.
Understood. So it can cause fires and just all around. Just
That's why you
don't do
should
it.
get your clippings off your yard though, because it'll burn your lawn.
Did we figure out the sound?
No,
Can you still hear it?
I'm not on the other end. But that's why I was fiddling, Nathan. But I will fix it after I put it through the processor. I can turn it up and re-upload it all as one with all the technical issues.
Well, no, that's fine. I was just curious about us being live right now. It was important to me. Sorry, I'm also sorry, Kermit. God, Jesus. Curtis, sorry.
That's the first one.
Because it'll burn you. You can still hear it. I was
still pretty quiet.
No, I was worried about it being like the first one, or our first take with the new camera. That's what I was worried about. That it was just non-existent.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So what types of waste do you handle? What types of waste does your company handle? Do you take any explosives? I don't know what the word.
So we can't take explosives. So we get a lot of questions like, hey, what can I do with this waste? And so I'll at least direct you in the right place. So sometimes actually my house will call me like, if you had explosives, you took it to the police station. Anything that's like hazardous, DOT does, I guess it would be called bi-yearly, drop off over off Elm Road. And so they'll do like a whole carload for like $20. So all the hazardous waste that you have.
Awesome.
So that one's important. They take like fluorescent lamps there. Pretty much anything that could like catch on fire. I know a lot of people ask, what can I do with my yard waste? So one really cool thing about Liberty that separates them, I would say, from other landfills is like they can't take yard waste, but Liberty actually takes it. So they have a whole area that is set aside just for yard waste. They compost it there.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. That was pretty much like I can think of. If I don't know the answer, I will find it out.
Okay. Well, man, you're a very great guy. Thank you for dealing with our little difficulties. Well, to me, it's a big deal because, like, if you're not willing to try it and do this with me, then when I get the room finished and all that, it's like, so I'm going to invite you back on probably in another 6 months when everything's great. So
we want to redo the first season according to like updated. So
that's so cool.
It totally looks different on in here than it does on the actual video. So I'm excited for the change. It's gonna be great.
But I say that because then I'll have better questions, and then this sound problem, and then us being a little quiet, all this will be fixed. But still getting a lot of love and whatnot. How do you work with the community? Besides, like how clearly involved you are, do you do any like sometimes I see your trucks at like the it wasn't at the fair, but like I see what do you do with the community? I guess.
So we throw like community events. I think the last one we did was Napoleon Township, but like we got together, so we cleaned up the area and then we take care of all the waste. So I know you probably shouldn't do stuff for free all the time, but like it's like kind of our way of giving back. So we'll take all that waste for free, as much as that comes in, and then we try to do that. We also like sponsor a lot of like school events. So I always try to give back to like the kids because I always feel like that's really important. Which I know it's been kind of weird. I know Napoleon has like 3 wrestling teams, which I had no idea, but I always try to like sponsor as much stuff as I possibly can. I know right now it's been like a little bit harder because we've had like trucks breaking down and I'm trying to get like newer equipment. So I feel bad when I'm like, I'm so sorry, like we just can't do it right now. But I mean, I think last year we sponsored 4 or 5 like softball teams. We've had like banners up at like all the schools, like trying to support them. So I try to do as much as I can for the community.
That's great. No, that's
like,
great.
you're nothing.
Yeah. Do you know Chief Pittman?
I do know Chief.
That's awesome. He's the one that arrested me way back in the day. And but he's the reason I'm not in prison. He's a big part, and he's actually going to come on the show this month.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah. I graduated with his daughter.
No kidding. Okay. Yep. Me and Chief Pittman have a little bit of a history. Was bad. Now it's good.
Yeah.
I'm finicky anyways. What are the most common items that people incorrectly dispose of?
Cool.
And we covered a couple of them. You said like grass clippings. You said something about roofing, like construction materials.
Yeah.
I guessed kitty litter, but that's why I asked because I didn't think you were even supposed to take
I
that.
would say batteries as well.
Yeah, we get that's a good one actually. People don't know, but like the lithium batteries now that are used for like Milwaukee or DeWalt or whatever, those get crushed. Like those can start a fire like right away.
Jeez.
It's crazy like how explosive it can actually be.
Okay.
I get a lot. You're not supposed to have like human waste, so we've definitely found that before, which is gross.
Yeah, that is gross.
there's so much cat litter. I will say that it's like you can put your cat litter in there. I don't care,
Oh,
but
right.
there's so much cat litter. It's crazy.
Well, it's like, what do you do? What do you do
Yeah.
with the cat litter? Like,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask that. Like, what are we supposed to do with it? You know, like how we're
I
actually
don't
supposed
know.
to.
I know there is a company in the area that like says that they don't take like pet waste.
That's who we go through, and,
Okay.
and that's why we ask. Because I was like, what are we
You ever got
supposed to
an
do
answer?
with the no? Because I didn't ask him. I just put it in.
I'm
there,
super
you know.
curious, too.
We put it in a bag. I like
Yeah.
double bag it. Like, it's not just like
Yeah,
gonna
but,
rip open.
right.
Like,
but they told us not to, and I'm like, well, I'm just not going to tell you that I have to, because what the heck else am I supposed to do with it? Like bury it in my backyard? Like I don't know what I'm
I've
doing.
wondered the same thing. Like usually I can tell people where to go. Like the landfill doesn't care, so I don't know why.
Why they get
well, the litter like doesn't degrade, does it? It's not like a biodegradable thing unless you get like special litter. So like that's another reason. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I used to live out in the country, and I'd go dump it. And Mom's like, "You can't go dump that outside. It doesn't. It's gonna be there forever."
Yeah.
What are the biggest financial problems? I know we kind of touched on it, but
Yeah.
I'm still curious to ask.
Well, I'm sure you can imagine. So like 1,700 customers, that's a lot of garbage cans because everybody also has like, some people have more than one. Like I have one account that's 5 cans.
Wow.
Yeah, those are expensive. So I've had 2 people break cans, which they're not cheap. Like we charge $150 because now I've got to go back and reorder them, and that's how much it costs just for 1 can.
Yeah.
Like at this point in time, that can be expensive. And then, like I said, like I bought garbage cans, and I've never looked at like the prices of garbage trucks or anything. And then I got to the point that we were so big. I mean, I used to have like this flatbed truck, and it had like 8-foot walls. Like I'd even cut down the plywood, and I would fill that thing up. Like my shoulder was going out, and I was like, man, I need a garbage truck. So that was when I started looking, and we were at like 600 customers. So I'm doing like 600 customers a week just
By hand.
and then I'd have to unload it by hand, and it was just awful.
Yeah.
The garbage trucks are so expensive.
Okay.
That's probably like my biggest issue. They're not easy to find, and then when you do find them and they break down, the parts are hard to find sometimes. So it can definitely like hold you down. Like the one truck, we had the engine go out, and that's the one that we primarily use on like our bigger routes right now. That engine was down for like 3 months.
Wow.
So we were just like using a little truck, and my old worker, he ended up going back to work for the old company, but his biggest complaint was like, yeah, your routes are too big for this truck. And I said,
Gotcha.
yeah, I understand that, and I'm really sorry. Like, I'm just trying to do with what I can. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a big company. I'm not, I don't have a fleet of just backup trucks. I'm
Yeah.
trying to work with what we have. Like, we have 5 garbage trucks right now, and unfortunately 3 of them are down. So,
Well, thank you for that. Makes sense of why you understand our difficulties, because
Yeah.
you're struggling the same way. I mean, on a bigger scale, but still nonetheless struggling.
right.
How has the economy affected your business, good or bad?
I would say I didn't see much of an effect until probably December of like 2024, and it's progressively gone. So like December, I think there was like 71 people that like didn't pay their bill.
Okay.
Then it was like 70 in January, and then it was 72 here in February.
Understood.
And I think that a lot of customers are just having a harder time like getting their bills paid because, you know, I hear eggs are like $9 a
They are.
dozen.
They are.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is crazy. What advice would you give to somebody that's getting into the industry?
Do things the right way. I see a lot of other companies. I think I started something, so I really like to sound arrogant, so I'm not trying to sound that way. But I think a lot of people saw that I put cans out really fast, and they were like, "Oh, we can start a garbage company too." And I see these guys trying to start garbage companies at like cheaper rates, and they're like, "Oh, we can slash the prices," but they haven't done the math to realize that like that's going to put you out of business really quick. I'm at the bottom right now. Like I know where the bottom line is. I'm there.
Understood.
So I know that that's happened. There's also guys that drive around. Like I had a customer call me out in Brooklyn the other day, and they were, I'm sorry if you're the customer, they were really upset because they found trash on the road. Well, one of our trucks, like we were using a trailer, and they were like, well, we think the trash came from you because Emmons hasn't come through here yet because our neighbors hasn't got picked up. So we're just going to cancel because we found trash on the road and we think it was you. And I said, well, did you see it come out of the truck? And she said no, and I said, okay, well, regardless of if you're going to cancel or not, like, I'm going to come out there and I'm going to clean it up. And she's like, well, no, I don't want you to clean it up if it's not yours. And I said, no, that's not the point. Like, I find a personal obligation to keep the streets clean, and I'm not saying that everybody's not perfect. Like, even the bigger garbage trucks, I've seen trash bags on the top. People have seen it; they blow off
Stuff
sometimes.
happens. Stuff happens.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's why we try to hold these community events. I've had people like just throw mattresses on the side of the road. Like people pick them up. We do as much as we can. Like we work closely with law enforcement and everything to get people's yards cleaned up and try to give them like cheaper rates than what we would even normally charge
Yeah.
to like try to help out.
Awesome.
Yeah, do you guys participate in that, like the community cleanup days they do? I
Yeah.
think they do them like the spring and in the fall where everybody pushes all their stuff
Yeah.
out, and so you guys do actively.
So we've never done it in Summit. I know Evans always does one in Summit.
Yeah.
We've done Napoleon. We've also done Leone. I know we were talking to Blackman for a while there because they were really interested, and then we also did one with the DDA last year for Earth Day. She had like a big cleanup event, and we like put cans out, and I was out of town, so I felt bad, and I was like, I'm sorry I won't be here, but like I'll take care of all the trash for you. And she was like, oh, that'd be great. So they took our cans around and just filled them up. But
Man, there's two things I want to say. A, you're getting a lot of love, but B, you are the longest podcast I've had. Not that I pay
What's up?
About an hour and a half.
well, it's not that I pay attention necessarily, but I want to get to know the story, and I feel like me and you have talked the best out of a lot of. I've had two others that they know who they are. But I love the conversation. You're good to talk to, and I love learning about you. And but more importantly, I love learning about what you're doing for this community. That's what I'm trying to do, just different. You're picking up the community, cleaning it up, and you're doing a great job. I'm trying to do something different but similar. So
I guess we're trying to clean it up in a different way.
Yeah.
And the stigma.
Yeah. Well, man, that's how do you deal with customer complaints? I know we talked a little bit about it over lunch, but let's not say that customer. But how do you deal with complaints?
Not well. I will say I've had people that are like higher up in this community than I am in like bigger businesses, and they're like, hey, look, one person cancels, like just sweat it off your shoulder. We had like 3 people cancel last week. One of them was like a complete jerk, so I was actually like happy about it. Glad that he's finally gone, but I take everyone like very seriously, so I try to like address any complaints possible. In fact, it wasn't even 3 because the other 2, they ended up saying after I talked to them, and they were like better. So it was just the one cancellation now that I think about it. But even one, I'm like, okay, we put 62 cans out, like we could have just lost 3. Like, sure, there's 62, but like I don't see people as a number. I see like each individual one. The only time I ever feel really bad is if I haven't like met people, and then they'll like come up to me and they randomly start talking to me about their garbage service, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I try to like play it cool with them, like I don't know what to say here, and I'll be like, oh, I haven't met you yet, like I've just seen you on Facebook.
Awesome.
Oh, okay, well, nice to meet you.
So you take it personal, but that's not like in a good way. It sounds like in a good light, like you care, not take it personal, like, hey, don't talk about me like that. More personal, like, what can I do to make it
I try to be more caring about it. Yeah,
awesome.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What is the most rewarding part of your job? Or of your business? Or both, whatever.
There are certain customers, we just gave away, we have a child who, I didn't even know if I wanted to post it because I didn't know how people were going to take it, but so he's on my route, he's autistic. Okay. And so I feel really bad because my brain, like I said, is like soup, so it went on way longer than it should have, but I was emptying the trash, this kid comes to the window every single Thursday, and he's like waving at us. And I'd wave back and honk the horn at him, and he'd get all excited. Well, one day I'm like throwing out the trash, and a garbage truck fell out. And it was broken, and I was like, messaged the mom, and I was like, hey, I was just wondering, like, I saw your kid's garbage truck, like, was it broke? And she said, yeah, it was his favorite toy, like, I felt bad throwing it away, and I was like, well, let's get him a garbage truck. So we, like, got it and put, like, tactical Trashout stickers on it, like, got it for him. So he finally got that yesterday, because, like I said, it went on way too long. But we just have some customers that, like, even older customers will stand at the window and wave to us, and that literally just makes my whole day awesome.
Man, what is the biggest lesson you've learned with this business?
Not everybody is here to see you succeed.
It's a hard one. That is a hard lesson.
There are people who would prefer to see the opposite, actually, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
terrible. Absolutely terrible.
So all my next types of questions go kind of right in order. We are nearing the end. I do give a little heads up just so people know. So what are your thoughts on the future waste management? You plan on expanding, more trucks, more employees, that nature.
So I'm somebody that, like, as as a business owner, even, I'm completely against monopolies.
Awesome.
So I don't ever want to be like the only garbage service. I want people to have a choice. Like I used to say all the time, like I fought for your freedom here. Like I'm gonna do the same here.
Awesome.
I know Jackson's looked at like a one hauler service multiple times. I don't think that that's necessarily the right option. I think that there's better options that I've tried to discuss with like, you know, city council or anything to get them across. I think that it's going towards that way. I think that it's even coming up on like a state level. Like we just had a law that was passed that everybody's going to be forced to recycle now.
Okay.
And the way that that's going to look is every customer is going to be forced to have to pay for recycling. So you're going to have 2 cans instead of the 1 can. Your bills are about to go up. Everybody's already struggling. I don't like the way that it's being put into effect. Like you have to bring in so many tons of recycling for so many tons of waste that you're bringing in.
Okay.
And so if you're a smaller hauler like me, or even say Emmons, like Emmons doesn't have a transfer station. So in order for us to get that recycling, I'm curious to see how that's going to work, because we have to, like Emmons will go to Granger or Modern to like dump their waste.
Okay. Okay.
They also have to go there to dump their recycling, but then that recycling at the transfer station, I think the way that it's written will be that it would either count for LRS or it would count for Granger. So
I see.
then we can't get rid of that waste. So now you're trying to get rid of companies that
Don't count for you.
Yeah.
So it's gonna do.
So how can we bring it in if they're bringing it
Yeah.
in? Like,
Well, also, I know that people don't know how to properly recycle.
yeah.
Like that's a huge thing. So
Yeah.
you're gonna create more harm than help.
Oh yeah.
I feel if there isn't a specific way, and even when people know the rules, they don't follow them.
Believe me, I get the one thing that I'm always like, I try to stress to people is like, that's why I try to be educational. So like, we didn't take any recycling in after COVID until like 2023.
Okay.
So not like us as a company, but like us as Michigan.
Yeah.
And then when it came back, they stopped doing glass. Well, some companies say we still take glass, but that's how I know it's not going anywhere. Or they take styrofoam. Styrofoam is 97% non-recyclable because it's mostly just air.
Yeah.
But then they're like, oh yeah, you can just throw it in the recycling bag. Well, even if it's single stream, like it's going to contaminate the rest of the recycling. So now it's no longer good and you can't do anything with it. Now it's just waste.
How much you know about this makes me feel great if I was to get your service or whatever. That makes it, you're educated, you're smart. It seems like that is the most important thing to be, no matter what you're doing. So thank you on behalf of Jackson County. I'll say it, really. Well, because you don't want somebody with no education. I mean, to me, it matters. Because if I don't know what to do with something, and then the guy that I'm hiring doesn't know what to do, then who the hell do we call? So it's good that you know. Is there anything that we missed that you would like to cover?
No, I find the irony in what you just said though, because a lot of people don't know this, but I actually like never worked at a garbage company.
Huh.
I'm like fresh off the streets, like no idea. So I had to learn like all of this. So I'm constantly trying to like even learn more than I possibly know now. So then that way, if people come to me with questions like, "Hey, this is what's happening here," because I've been questioned. Like I had one guy right up the street from me, and like from my house, and he was like claiming that we were dropping garbage all over the ground, and I was like, "What are you talking about? Like there is none." Came to my house, threatened me. And I got a phone call from the state of Michigan, and it was like the solid waste division. They're like, "Yeah, so you're under investigation right now for all this." And I was like, "Okay." So they had to come here, check out my trucks and everything, and they were like, "Yeah, you're 100% in compliance. We don't know what he's talking about." And I was like, "Okay, good. Like I'm glad we're in compliance." Like,
Yeah. Good, man.
yeah.
Man, that's great. Is there anything you'd like to share about your family, or any announcements about upcoming events that your business might be doing?
I love my kids. I love my wife. They mean the absolute world to me. I mean, I spend what I'm not doing at work. Usually, I'm spending it with them.
Perfect.
I know we're trying to like look at more schools. So one thing you may not know, because it came up about a year ago. So we actually have a recycling program with Napoleon Schools.
Cool.
So it's like the Tactical Trashout Junior Recycling Program, and they'll have these little vests. And then
Awesome.
they are the only place that have like our special recycling cans. So they're like black with a white logo and a green lid.
Nice.
So they have like 4 of those. They do their recycling, and all the kids get. I haven't given them their stickers yet, but
Cool.
I've got like little Tactical Terry stickers for all of them.
Nice.
So they're all like learning about recycling, and I think that that's a big deal because right now the landfill situation in the United States is like not looking good at all. And I know that it does get very political. Like a lot of people don't know, but Canada brings their trash to us here in Michigan, which is why our landfill prices are going up so high, because it's cheaper for them to bring it here than to keep it in their own country. So we just bring it here. So landfills are filling up like really fast, and if we don't learn how to like start taking care of this waste, it's not going to be good. There was just a landfill, I want to say it was in Iowa. It's been closed since 1985. I apologize.
Oh yeah, you're hell. After all the stuff we've had going on, that is fine.
Yeah, so they opened up the tarps because that's how it works. Is it closes everything up, and when they opened it up, everything was still good. Paint was still on bikes. Like, it didn't go away.
Wow.
And they thought that this landfill was like ready to be opened again, and it was not. So.
When you get those stickers, you know where I live. So,
Okay.
just saying. And I just wrote a couple little notes here before Katie asked her end questions. Your wife does photography.
Yes.
So if you guys know her name, I'm sorry I'm blipping here. Check out her page.
AC Photography. Highly comment.
Awesome. So I'll wrap up my stuff. She has a question, and then I'll give you your gift card. So I just wanted to say this. I already read the bio at the beginning. Make sure to watch the beginning. Christian, veteran-owned and operated business. He's been a great guy and a great episode. I love this. How is the competition? Do you like friendly competition? How is it? I think you're better. I'm sure most of Jackson thinks you're better, but what's your view? And any fears?
It's funny that you say that. So the one that just called me, so he owns A1 here in Jackson, and he reached out to me, and I used to be like a super jerk about like competition. I was like, no, I'm gonna take you all out at this point. But like, there's enough trash for everybody. Essentially, I just think it's important that it's like being done correctly, and that should be the importance of like what's happening, because there's other companies that I know people get mad that they like kind of cut corners where it's like their routes getting skipped every single week, or they might get picked up like once every 2 weeks, and they're like, why is that happening? Like, well, your route's getting cut, and they're doing a different route, and then they're coming back and like, oh, we'll take your extra, but you've like paid for that. So that's kind of frustrating for me, because it kind of gives everybody else a bad name. I think consistency is like the biggest key, but other than that, I mean, competition's good because it keeps everybody in check. I mean, that was one of the reasons that we started doing this, was like, I was really tired of my garbage bill constantly going up, and I know that we're the cheapest utility bill, but it's just kind of like everybody gets greedy almost, and they're like, oh, we got to raise the prices, why? People are struggling, and I mean, it's more now than ever. Like, people can barely feed their families, and you're worried about an extra $2 a month. I mean, for the last 3 years, I'm at the point that I should raise prices, but we haven't raised our prices because I know people are struggling. So if we have to take a little bit more of a hit here until we do raise prices, like, I'm going to do that.
So it's funny because I see the military peeking out in you. The good of the good of the all, the good of the mission outweighs the good of one. So that's phenomenal. Is there anything from the whole episode that I missed? Is there any story you want to tell? Is there any bullet point? Is there anything else you would like to share?
Even a shout out, you know.
Oh. What's up to my family? Nothing I can really think of.
That means we did our
I
job.
already shouted my wife's business out, so
Perfect.
that's where we're at.
I do have our wrap up questions back to your pen. I still haven't wrote down the other ones. Oh, okay. Well, if one word would explain your whole story, starting from like the first book to now, what would the one word be to summarize the journey you have made?
We've had water, we've had recovery.
That's why I was going to do my little cheat sheet back here. We haven't wrote them all down. Oh, they're on each one.
I
Gotcha.
need this.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
But yeah, one word.
Incredible.
Incredible.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hasn't always been good, but you know, we're here.
So then the last part, and not my favorite part, but I do like doing it. I'm going to give you this gift certificate from Roxy Cafe, located 606 Northwest Avenue, Jackson, Michigan. Prisoner to painter to tactical trash. I am gifting it. I do it at the end of every episode. $25. The best breakfast in town, established in 1926. Owner Jim Serrata. We make it, we don't open it. That's their slogan.
Their corn and hash is phenomenal.
Everything is fresh and homemade. Jim has owned it for 35 years. Stop in and see them 7 days a week. Breakfast served every day. That's
Wow.
for you. Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
a Jackson classic. My favorite thing on the menu is that they don't take reservations, because if you have reservations, you shouldn't be eating there.
Nope. It is,
That's good.
Yeah.
and I try to tailor it. You know, we ate lunch that day and it was great. And if you haven't ate there, but I'm sure you have, if you're from Jackson.
Yeah.
They got great food. So that's all I could think of. Maybe before you go on your route, you get have breakfast or something.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you
very
guys
much.
for tuning in. We will see you Monday for Caleb, for a singer from Lansing. I can't wait to see you guys.
Bye.